Hey, this is Meridith Elliott Powell, and welcome to Sales Logic, the show where we dive into the strategies, discuss the steps, everything that you need to know to well sell logically. I am here with my co-host, Mark Hunter. Hey, Mark.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. It's a great morning. Here we are at 9 a.m. Eastern time on a Saturday, but you know what? We're up and running. We're making it happen. Love it.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think Saturday mornings are a good time to talk about sales, because the people who are going to be successful in 2021 are the people who are not going to take their foot off the gas, even though it's the weekend.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, I've already had a chance to get 4 or 5 things done. And of course, when we were in the green room, we were talking about stuff that we are collaborating on together and other things. And, business never stops. And
Mhm.
when you're engaged, when you love it, how can you not enjoy doing it?
Yeah, exactly. Years ago when I worked in corporate, I used to have this sign on my over my desk, and it was a Buddhist philosophy, and it said that the art and the master in the art of living is someone that you can never tell when they're working or whether they're playing, because it all blends together and all seems the same. And I kind of think that the same way. I'm up early getting a little work done this morning because I'm going to play in a golf tournament this afternoon.
And like I told you in the green room, if we were going to play golf here, we'd be playing with the orange balls. But, hey, some people just have it a lot nicer. So anyway,
Yeah.
hey, we should jump into the show. Why don't you explain kind of how the show works? Because we keep adding new listeners every week.
So we are. Well, the best thing about the show is there's definitely a way for you, the listener, to get involved. Every week, our show is divided into 4 parts. Number 1 is we have a topic. We're going to talk about something that is really relevant in sales today, and something you need to know and you need to be learning about if you want to sell more effectively. Probably my favorite part of the show is part number 2, where we take a question from the audience, from you. And if you want to submit a question, all you have to do is reach out to us at our website, saleslogicpodcast.com, or just go on social media and use the hashtag Sales Logic. Then we discuss a book, one we're currently reading and something we recommend to make you even more effective in the sales and leadership arena. And last but not least, because we want you to get return on investment, we want you to be able to put the strategies you learn here into place immediately. We have a lightning round, just a couple of things that you could put into place right away.
And we do that all in about 22, 24 minutes. So, hey, let's get rocking and rolling. The topic for this morning, and I love this topic, mapping the customer's journey, what that means, and how do I do that? Now, before we get to the topic, we got to do the question. The question comes from Krista in Pennsylvania, longtime listener, first-time caller. Hey, I'm the CEO of a small fintech company. We are growing at a rapid speed. I have just brought on a full-time marketing director, and my sales team has expanded to 10 full-time sales professionals. I need my marketing and sales strategies to be aligned. What is your best advice to make that happen? You have just opened up Pandora's box, Krista. Let's rock and roll. Go ahead.
Number 1, kudos to you to realize that you need your marketing and your sales strategies to be aligned, because that's probably the biggest hurdle to get over. Years ago, when I worked in corporate, marketing was always on one side of the building and sales was on the other, and the two never really met to be combined. In today's world, you don't have that luxury. The first thing you need to do is to give them the same goal. One of the problems with marketing is that they are not given goals, and salespeople, one of the problems with them is they live and die by the goal. If it's not contributing to getting them to the goal, they're not interested in it at all. So they need to have one goal as one department, something that they're striving towards and something they're both going to be held accountable to.
As you talk about goals, you really got to think that the goals have to align. Too many marketing goals are just set around impressions, just around the number, and that doesn't mean anything. Here's the question that marketing has to answer before you start anything. First of all, are the customers I'm going after, are we converting them? Is this a conversion strategy? Now, that is going to drive the 2 things that you're going to do. 1, if you're in a conversion strategy, then marketing's job is to really create awareness. If it's not conversion, then the marketing strategy has to be education focused. And you got to understand this. right up front because I see too many dollars being wasted by marketing departments that really have a role of trying to educate the customer base. And what they're doing is they're just creating awareness, and the customer has no clue. And the same thing happens that if you're trying to do conversion, then I know who is it that I'm trying to convert. See, when you answer those questions, it's amazing how much tighter you can get with your marketing spend.
I think you bring up a really great point, and that is, you need to back up and you need to define the roles. What is marketing's role and how does it contribute to the goal? What is sales' role and how does it contribute to the goal? And then how do those roles work together? I mean, you need to, part of the challenge is salespeople have been lone wolves. I mean, it's been our job to go out, to find the customer, to talk with the customer, to educate the customer, to have the conversations, to close the deal. And then we decide if we're going to go back out and follow up on them. The world is too busy today and it's too competitive. And that's why marketing is such a necessary ally of sales. It's their job to create the awareness in the marketplace. It's their job to create the interest and get the lead so that it's warm by the time the salesperson makes the call. And once this time the salesperson closes the deal, they've got to be communicating back to marketing to ensure that the pain points that the customer is experiencing are relevant, are current. They are the best front line of information to marketing. So marketing can prepare materials and content and information that really is aligned to what the customer is feeling. So you've got to create those roles and really define them and then really draw the lines to where they integrate.
And the way you help define those roles is you have to have marketing people who actually understand sales. Hey, marketing people, you need to spend time shadowing salespeople. Salespeople, you need to spend time shadowing marketing. I see too many reasons why. Well, the reason we have a sales and marketing department is so we have someone to blame when the numbers don't come in. That is so garbage, but it happens so much. Here's the whole thing. Salespeople, when you're aligned with marketing, don't go shooting arrows at what they're doing, okay? Because you know what? They understand their business. And marketing, don't go shooting arrows at sales. They know their business far better than you know it. What you do want to do, go back to what Meridith was talking about. What are the goals? And you really have to understand, are we in a business of conversion or are we in a business of educating? And that's going to help you determine, because that old adage, hey, I know 50% of my marketing dollars wasted. I just don't know which 50. Well, you know what? Yeah, I hate to say it, but that's true. But the same thing can be said about sales. I can make 50 sales calls and only one pays out. So does that mean the other 49 are wasted? No, I had to do the other 49 to find the one. So don't go throwing arrows at each other. Hey, a final comment, and then we'll jump into the topic. How's that sound?
Sounds good. I would say that as a leader, you've got to put your big boy pants on and you have to hold them accountable to work together. I see one of the biggest challenges is you just have this just dynamic salesperson who's doing it all on their own. And the last thing you want to do is kind of interfere with their results. So you don't force them to work with marketing. You don't force them to use the content. You don't force them to communicate. You don't force them to share information because you don't want to interrupt their sales cycle. But think about this. A salesperson, even the best, can be so much more effective if what they're doing is really aligned with marketing.
Yeah, I love that, because marketing is on the forefront and sales is on the street front. Hey, let's jump into the topic for today, mapping the customer's journey. What that means and how do I do that? You want to jump in first?
Yeah, I came up with this topic for today because I just keep bumping into this language of mapping the customer journey everywhere. And I feel like it's a term that's coming up in sales right now that is over talked about and under implemented. So I thought it would be a really good topic for the show, because I think that it is a piece that that unless you have a really well-defined marketing support person or marketing department in your company, it's being overlooked. So let's talk a moment about why it's important to map the buying journey. If you are not mapping the buying journey right now, you are not selling as efficiently and effectively and productively as you possibly could. Think about this. The research tells us that buyers are 67 to 85% of the way to making a decision before they ever interact with a company or a salesperson. So that means that companies are educating themselves, and you have to understand what that looks like for your customers to be educating themselves, and where are you coming in contact with their process of gaining information.
Yeah, and that 67% number really supports the whole role that marketing's got to do. Now, let's break this down, because mapping the customer's journey, there's a couple things you have to look at. What's the end game? What is the end game? Now, the end game is not what you sell. The end game is, how does the customer benefit? So what I got to do is I got to say, okay, that's the prize. That's the end of the journey in terms of the outcome, the benefit that the customer is going to receive. Then I got to begin to come upstream, and I have to begin to ask myself, what are the challenges? What are the problems that the customer comes across as they move through that decision-making process? And how do they get those questions answered? Are they getting those questions answered through a peer group? Are they getting those questions answered through a internet search? Are they getting those answers through a salesperson? You have to begin to break that all down, because what's very interesting when you map the customer's journey, no two customers ever go down the same path alike. The decision-making process always has in place a level of emotion and a level of fact. And I don't care whether it's B2C or B2B. But what you have to do is you have to understand, how do I understand how I'm going to weight emotion and how I'm going to weight in terms of fact? And I have to be prepared to deal with that. So when I'm mapping the journey, I have to be prepared that this customer can go down multiple paths.
You know, we just had the guru of mapping the customer journeys weigh in, Ford Sakes. I'm super excited. Going to have him on my podcast next week. But he
Good
said
morning, Ford.
It's important to identify all of the touch points from suspect to advocate. He's so right. So a suspect, just so we get our terminology down here, is somebody that you don't even know if you're going to do business with, and they're not even aware of your company. And that advocate is where you ultimately want to get the prospect and the customer to being a true ally, somebody who is on your team bringing you business. And so that leads us back to really the first step in mapping the buying journey. And Mark, I've heard you talk about this so many times, but we got to beat that dead horse again. You need to clearly identify your ideal. You need to know who you are looking for. You have got to understand your avatar. Just yesterday, I was working with a friend of mine on a new online course I'm getting ready to launch. And the thing that had been bugging me was I didn't feel like I had clearly identified who the course was for. I mean, I knew it was for salespeople. I knew the challenge they were having and everything, but something was missing. And she and I just really went back and forth for about 30 minutes. And I really nailed the details of that client avatar. And I got to tell you, it has changed everything about how I'm going to market it, the communication around it. This is a step that cannot be missed. And you cannot, being too broad can be dangerous.
Well, this comes back to this whole thing that too many people in their customer mapping journey, they wind up, they're mapping it to suspects. They're not mapping it to prospects. Mm-hmm. And one of the measurements that I use in terms of the quality of the people who you're trying to sell to is, what's the percentage of your deals that you have to discount to close? The less avatar oriented, the less ICP, ideal customer profile, that customer is, that prospect is to you, the more likely you're going to have to discount. And there's a direct correlation, because here's the whole thing. When I take you from lead to suspect, because I haven't qualified you yet, then I have you as a prospect because now you're qualified. Then I get to move you to a customer advocate. And that word advocate is so key because this is the ROI. This is where you get the ROI of your selling process, because now this customer will do two things for you. One, they're going to come back and repeat orders. They're going to come back and buy more, and they're going to recommend you to other people. It creates that sustainable business proposition.
Yeah, let's go back to another thing that Ford was talking about, and that is the touch points, is understanding really everywhere that your customer, your prospect is going to get this information. And are you providing the tools so that they're interacting with you at those points? I mean, do they Google so that your website or something is popping up fast enough? Are they looking to social media? Are they going more traditional routes? Where are they going to get that information, and what are their goals as they're going through that process, and what are their pain points? Where are they getting frustrated? I think one of the things that we need to really start to embrace when we think about the customer journey is, if you are lucky enough to be bumping into them, if they are finding you, where are you losing them? Are they bouncing off your website too fast? Or there's certain pages that aren't appealing? Are they not watching all the way through your videos? So you not only map the buyer journey, but you have to continue to learn from the buyer journey.
And see, this also, the way that I can map the customer's journey is how much involvement, how much engagement does the prospect customer want to have with you, the salesperson? Because what this is going to tell me is whether or not what I'm doing is I'm bringing to them value, and I'm helping to create interest, and they're creating confidence in me. Now, remember, the sale does not take place until there's a level of confidence. And confidence is created three different ways. Confidence is created through the marketing message. Confidence is created through affirmation in the marketplace. And confidence is created through the salesperson. The greater the job I do with all three of those, the faster I'm actually going to be able to close the sale, and at a higher price point. There's a direct correlation between my ability to map the customer's journey, as we've been talking about, in a very succinct manner, and actually doing two things. One, I increase my top line revenue, but I dramatically increase my bottom line profit, because marketing and sales, wow, we come right back to the question that we were talking about, right? In terms of marketing and sales having to be aligned.
Yeah, I think that, I think the thing that you really need to understand is mapping the buyer's journey is not something that you hole up in a room and do with the members of your team, or do isolated with a marketing person. You need to get out and you need to talk to your customers. Once you identify that ideal, you really need to be surveying them. You need to be doing focus groups. You need to be talking to them, because you need to hear firsthand where they're going for information, where they're looking for, what their goals are at each point of the buyer journey. What are their frustrations? What are the pain points that they're arriving into? They're going to be your greatest source of information. I've been telling my clients that I really think in today's highly shifting, uncertain marketplace, you need to be engaging and you need to be talking with your customers every couple of months. I mean, you really need to plan it and say, I'm going to do a little mini research project every couple of months, whether you put a poll out on LinkedIn, whether you do a survey out to people, whether you just pick up the phone and have a conversation, but you need to stay in touch. I was sharing this that I had just landed a client last week. And I started calling on that client in December of 2019. They're in the healthcare space. And in December of 2019, their biggest pain point was trying to get their salespeople to be more effective at outbound sales calls, at literally getting in a car, going to a hospital, and having a conversation. By the time COVID hit, the problems changed. We had to figure out how to go virtual. And now that I've closed the business in January of 2021, we have another issue. And that is the fact that the change in administrations is making their business is going to boom because they're in healthcare. You have to understand that your customer's journey, their problems, their pain points are shifting constantly.
Hey, and with that, time is slipping by. We could talk on this thing for an hour, but we need to jump into the book. And the book this week is by a real strong, great peer friend of ours. So why don't you go ahead and introduce the book?
You know, we were going to talk about another book. We had that on the calendar, but I was lucky enough that last night my book by Dr. Mary Kelly came in the mail, and it is the 5-Minute Leadership Guide. And if you are lucky enough to know Mary Kelly, if you're not, you need to follow her at productiveleaders.com, because she has more 5-minute guides than anybody on the planet. Now, this book looks big, it looks thick, but the power of this book is it is full of exercises and things for you to do to be more effective at leading yourself, more effective at being focused, more effective of understanding what it means to really influence and impact others. And you may be sitting there saying, I am in sales, I'm not a leader, but this book is all about helping you have impact and influence. And that's one of the most important things that we need to do when it comes to salespeople. So you can get it at productiveleaders.com. You can also find it on Amazon. I've already started some of the exercises and started writing in the book.
Yeah, because it's not a book. It's not even a workbook. It really is a map to help you be more successful. So, hey, with that, lightning round. We got to move fast. Top marketing ideas you should be doing to support your sales strategy. Go, you're on the clock.
Number one is, I'm going to go back to the point that you need to, you really need to have a goal. Look, I just popped Ford's comment up here because I think it's important and I want everybody to read it. You go, Mark.
Hey, what? Okay, well, let me go into something else. Hey, here's the whole thing. You got to stay that have all of your marketing messages be absolutely focused against one person. That is your avatar. That is your ICP.
Yeah, if you want your marketing and your sales strategies to be more aligned and to work better together, really set up regular and consistent meetings between your marketing and your sales team. Get that conversation flowing, get them brainstorming around challenges, and get them celebrating things that work. Force that conversation and that connection.
Right. Marketing can have goals around awareness and impressions and so forth, but it ultimately comes down to what is the conversion rate of customers that turn into sales. And I got to come back and map upstream in terms of where did that customer come from? What was the attraction point?
Redefine your sales process so that it integrates sales and marketing. You probably have a sales process for your sales team, but ask yourself, does it incorporate and does it integrate the content and the things that marketing is created to really make your marketing and sales process more effective?
Remember that your marketing strategy is not only to attract customers, it is to retain and create advocates. So make sure that you're spending your marketing dollars on both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, you need to elevate your marketing team in the sense that marketing is typically thought to be reactive to things that are going on. You need to really force them to the front, give them a role, and elevate them in your organization.
Never forget that your best source of information is not only from your salespeople, but from your customers. Marketing. You need to have a regular, routine approach to be gaining information and insights back from salespeople and back from customers.
One of the most powerful places marketing can help sales is in the follow-up strategy. Follow-up should always be 70% value add to the customer and 30% asking for the business. A lot of sales teams fall down on follow-up because they don't have the content, they don't have the value add material. Get your marketing team to map out what the follow-up strategy should look like and get them to support your sales team in follow-up. Sale happens in the follow-up. It always does. You're going to close more deals if sales and marketing are working together there.
Marketing, don't have the shiny object syndrome. It is so easy for marketing to chase the shiny object. Boy, if you want to get sales distracted, all you have to do, marketing, is run off and chase the shiny object. Stay very focused. Why don't you share one more, and then we'll kind of shut it down.
Yeah, get your head of sales and your head of marketing to be aligned and working together. The sales team is going to take its direction from their sales leader, and the marketing team is going to take their direction from their director of marketing. They're going to have disagreements. They're going to see things differently, but you need to make sure that those leaders are aligned, and that the marketing director is speaking very highly of sales to the marketing team, and the sales director is speaking very highly of marketing to your sales team.
One of the easiest ways, if you're in an office environment, is have marketing and salespeople sitting together. Hey, with that, we need to shut this down. I want to say thank you for listening to Sales Logic this week. If you like what you hear, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. If something we've said has earned you a single dollar, consider telling a friend about our show. It's how we grow to help you grow. I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meridith Elliott Powell.
Remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
the uncertainty suddenly becomes your competitive advantage.
And the sale becomes logical.
All right, we'll see you next week with another topic. Good selling this week.